Hello guys, I am filming a quick unboxing of this mouse that I just received. This is the Zalman ZM-M600R. So this is a bit of an obscure mouse. The place where I heard about it was on the click latency chart that overclock.net has compiled. I'll put a picture of that on the screen right now. That mouse on the click latency chart is known as the NMOUSE 4K, and this right here is basically a Zalman rebranded NMOUSE 4K. They are exactly identical. It is called the 4K mouse because it's 4000 DPI optical sensor. It's the Avago A3090, and so here we have the box. Going over some things. MCU it has a 32-bit microprocessor, I guess. 1000 Hz ultra polling rate, 4000 DPI. Custom firmware. So something really interesting about this mouse that I will be exploring a little bit further is they actually have their firmware file on their website, downloadable for this mouse, for the NMOUSE or the Zalman ZM-M600R. So if you have the proper software, you can actually edit the firmware, I'm guessing, which is going to be something that I'm going to play around with. Has up to 20 G of acceleration, 20 million click on switches, and auto change RGB LED. So let's go ahead and open this sucker up. So I got this a pretty good deal. These go for around $30-ish, $30 to $35 on eBay, and on Amazon I was able to grab this for $25 shipped via Amazon Prime. So it's definitely sealed, it's new and everything. So let's go ahead and see what we got here. Alright. Something funny I find about this mouse is that it uses a pretty goofy cable that I've seen on like other super budget gaming mice from like eBay that you can get for like literally 99 cents. It's the same braided USB cable. It's not good at all. If this mouse is good for me, I will definitely be removing that cable braid. I have a video on how to remove cable braiding on my channel, if you want to look that up. We have a user manual, I guess, and the mouse itself. So, oh, wow. Oh, that's good. Okay, so I got to show you guys. I got to compare it to a Logitech G100S. And now I really like the G100S, and they are very, very similar shapes. You can see the Zalman one, or NMOUSE 4K, the 4K mouse, I guess I'll just call it. It's slightly wider, but basically the buttons are all the same. If we stack them on top. They're also about the same height, but the 4K mouse is a slightly higher up, and the bump is still kind of more towards the back, just like the G100S on the bottom here. If we take a look at the bottoms, similar mouse feet placement, again, similar size. You can see here that the the 4K mouse is slightly wider. Some differences compared to this, because this is going to be a more familiar mouse for a lot of you guys. Also, the G100S, this is a very cheap mouse. You can get it for like between $10 to $15 on eBay. Something I never liked about the G100S, though, is the shell design kind of blows for the mouse clicks, because this is a solid piece of plastic here. When you press down on one of the micro switches, you're also bending this huge plastic area, which kind of leads to, it kind of gives an imprecise click feeling, even if you play with the micro switches. On here, though, you can see the amount of plastic is much smaller, and I'll be taking this apart in this video to show you guys some of the internals, but I can already tell this feels very, very good. It's really good when you get a mouse where the mouse clicks feel very raw. The G400, which I have here, those are an example of a good shell design. So I'm very happy with that so far. The feet glide smoothly, nothing super notable there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weight. I'll just compare. This is a G100S. These are normally 85 grams-ish, and you can take out about 15 grams worth of weight that's screwed into the back of the mouse. So there you go, 70-ish, 69-ish grams. This guy, I believe, is around 90. I think it's weighted. Okay, it's 92, 93. But there's definitely weights inside. I can feel it. It doesn't feel... I mean, still, 90-ish grams, it still is a good weight. But because those weights are placed in the back, it definitely feels weighted more towards the back. So like when I go to pivot the mouse like this, the G100S feels very free to pivot, but here it doesn't feel as free to pivot because the weight is concentrated back there. The scroll wheel is a really nice rubberized texture. That's actually surprisingly grippy. It's actually more grippy than the rubber scroll wheel on the G100S. I didn't count it, but it feels like a 24-step scroll wheel. The steps are very small, but I can definitely do one step at a time. They're very precise, about as precise as something like a Logitech wheel encoder design. However, it's not nearly as loud. Scrolling up is a little bit louder. The rubberized feel on it feels very good. The button depressing feels alright, but that is a replaceable switch, as seen in this video. And it overall is actually a very impressive wheel for if you want precise steps, but you still want a fairly quiet and smooth scroll wheel to use when like browsing web pages. The click doesn't feel that good. It feels like one of the push button clicks instead of a micro switch. But man, those Omron switches feel great. I'll show you guys a side profile view as well. So this is another area where you can see their close similarities. Something that I think a lot of mouse companies don't do right is they keep these edges like sloped outward, kind of like the Death Adder for me. I can't grip the Death Adder because it slopes outward, which means when I try to lift it up, my finger wants to slide. This instead gives me a ridge to grip onto. There's this glossy black plastic ring around the outside. I might paint that or something that doesn't look too great and glossy. But the rest of it is a the top and the buttons are a really thin rubberized coating feeling. I want to avoid using the term rubberized because it's not rubberized to the extent of like the G400, but it does feel like a soft touch kind of finish. Whereas the sides, these are a very standard but thick feeling, kind of slightly textured ABS plastic, similar to the bottom. Yeah, it's exactly the same as the bottom. On the bottom here, we have polling rates auto 125, 500, and 1000 hertz, and we have resolution of 600, 1000, 1600, and 4000 dpi. And there's also, I don't know, it says custom on both of them. I'll give you guys a close-up of that. So let's go ahead and take this sucker apart. So we have our RGB LED on the scroll wheel down here. We have our 20 million click Omron D2FC-F-7Ns. We have our cable, which looks like, I don't know what the colors correspond to, so that looks a little bit different from standard. We have our 32-bit MCU right there. RGB LED on the back here, and then your IR LED. I'm sorry, your red LED for the Avago A3090 optical sensor. This whole PCB is held in by 2 screws on the left and right. Scroll wheel is just pretty standard TTC encoder. It looks like a shorter profile one. It looks like I was mistaken about no, I wasn't mistaken. So we have for the DPI and scroll wheel buttons, they are the kind of black box push button style. It looks like those are soldered in at 2 points. So it looks like those can actually be swapped out for other similar 2-pin micro switches. You might actually be able to put in like an Omron switch there and just, you'll have to cut off one of the pins. Looking at the top half of the shell, sure enough, we have that weight. Oh man, this is very Logitech-esque with how these tabs hold the buttons in. Jeez. Yeah, they pretty much, now that I'm looking at it, check this out, guys. Very similar idea to a classic Logitech shape, which is here on the right. How you have the buttons separated, and then that'd be really funny if these were compatible. I can take it apart and see real quick if it is compatible. I doubt it, but that'd be hilarious. Yeah, it doesn't look like it, but you guys can see the similarities there. How you have your 1 screw location in the back, the buttons are held in by those tabs, and then you have your weight underneath the center. Not compatible, but hey, cool nonetheless. Alright, let's remove that weight and see how much it brings this mouse down. Buttons are, you can see there, the plastic that you're bending is not a whole lot. It's very, very thin. Okay, there I have the weight removed. There was a pain in the butt to do because it was actually held in by some plastic pieces as well as a screw. 16 grams. Wow. We are going to have a very lightweight mouse. Yep, there we go. 70. I mean, unfortunately, the cable is kind of dragging on it a little bit. But it's a sub 80 gram mouse now, which is fantastic. That does it for my first impressions video of this. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll try to answer as many as I can. Otherwise, I'm going to be working on a review for this soon, and also giving you guys my thoughts on its performance in game and whatnot, and probably getting rid of that terrible cable as well. So thank you guys very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next.